right track, I'm finally found. You need some soul searching, the time is now. All I need is one mic.
Okay. Why am I saying that? I'm not a braggadocio, but I have to show you guys. How beautiful is this ring? Don't mind my nails. They're like whack attack right now. My husband got it me for our anniversary. Oh my god, I just love it. I love it. I'm sorry. I just have to show you guys because it's absolutely gorgeous. Anyway, let's get into this video. Last time we met up, I read you guys an email that I wrote to my aunts. I got to a point where I don't like to refer to those people as aunts anymore. My mom's sisters. I'll put it like that. I like, to me, family doesn't do what these people have done to me, and family doesn't put you through what these people put me through, okay? And so, I wrote that letter because, you know, they really, I've said this in other videos before, they severely underestimated my intelligence. To the point where it was like almost offensive. I think I explained this to you guys in a other video a while back. When my brother had initially called my husband right after my mom passed away, you know, he was trying to convince my husband that, like, oh, Leanna's gonna hold everything up. She's, you know, she procrastinates and she's irresponsible. And now I know for sure, after my brother had said that to my husband, I knew that he was also saying it to my mom and trying to convince her that I'm irresponsible and you don't want to put things in Leanna's hands. Which is really funny to me because while she was sick, you didn't give a shit about me taking care of her and bringing her to doctor's appointments and doing all that kind of shit. I'm irresponsible when it's convenient for you when it comes to money because that's all you give a shit about. So they thought that they were going to keep me in the dark. I was going to be completely uninformed about, you know, her bills and what was being paid. And they didn't think I was going to go and pay off all those bills and take care of things and, you know, figure out what they were doing and their lies and everything. So, another thing I want to say, okay, and I brought this up very briefly in the last video, and I told you I would expand on it more. I very strongly felt that my aunts had never actually talked to this lawyer. I ended up finding out afterwards that that was like pretty much the case. I think they were talking to him through Satan and my brother. After I had filed my objection, they went and filed for an EIN number. If you guys don't know what that is, it's basically a tax ID. So when you pass away, obviously your social security number becomes invalid. And so your estate almost becomes like a business. It's for tax purposes. They give you this EIN number, and that's what you use to file taxes instead of using your social security number, because your social security number is no longer valid once you pass away. And I forgot to add here, but they were not supposed to be doing that. Like, nobody should have been filing for that. And they filed for it in my Aunt Debbie's name. I don't know if she was the one who actually filed for it or if Satan just went online and filed and, you know, just put her information on, because you could do that. You know, the IRS didn't let me know exactly how it was done, but you could go online and you could file for this EIN number, which really shouldn't have been done especially at that point in time, because I had entered my objection in, and they filed for this number to try to get the, this tax ID number after I filed my objection. And I also found out that Satan, nice Satan, made an appointment at the Chase Bank near my aunt's house to open up an estate account after I filed my objection, which nobody should have been doing. Nobody should have been doing any of that shit at that point in time. I also found out that she had contacted one of my mom's money market accounts, you know, one of the people at the investment firms, and gave them the EIN number to try to collect the money. And there was over $200,000 in this account. You know, I knew my aunt and everybody, they were like all in cahoots, okay? And one of the biggest things that I found to back this up, my uncle and my brother were calling my mom's phone on November 19th. Now, mind you guys, just so I could remind you of the days, okay, to put this into perspective, my mom passed away November 20th. Pretty much November 17th through the 19th, she was completely incapacitated and wasn't talking, okay? One of her girlfriends that she worked with, that she was very close with in the last couple of years of her life, She called and told me that Satan answered my mom's phone in the hospital. And I was like, what? Why is she answering my mom's phone? I go look at my mom's phone and I look at the missed calls and I'm like, when did she answer my mom's phone? And I could see the call that my mom's friend called and I see where Satan answered it. And then I go and look and I could actually see that my brother and my uncle Bob were calling my mom's phone. Okay, so this is a picture I took of my mom's call log from that Friday, which was the 18th. I think I said the 19th, but it was the 18th. So you see her friend Sandy called that Friday, okay? And then right below her, my Uncle Bob called. And then my brother called twice. So he called my mom's phone twice. For what reason? I don't know. I don't know why they were looking for my mom's phone. And so when you go, there's my Uncle Bob's, number. If you click on his thing, you can see he called November 18th at 5:51 p.m. And then my brother called at 5:50 and 5:48. Like, why were they all calling at the same time? It's so weird. Why were they calling my mom's phone when they knew my mom wasn't going to answer it? They were looking for it. Why were they looking for her phone? I don't know. They were probably looking to try to get some type of information, etc., etc. Like, these are things I'll probably never get answers to. I left a couple of things out and I forgot to talk about that happened in the time from when my mom passed away to when, I wrote my aunts that email. One of the things was that, I had that fight with my Aunt Debbie. She was going around telling people in my mom's family, amongst a lot of other untrue things, she was telling people that I destroyed my mom's will. I was totally confused as to why she was saying that at that time. I just didn't understand. I'm like, why are you telling people that I destroyed my mom's will when clearly I never had it? It was at the attorney's office. I later found out that my Aunt Debbie was telling people... And this is such bullshit. They are claiming, my Aunt Debbie claims that my mom had gotten her will rewritten, okay? So apparently this 1996 will that I had gotten from the lawyer, my Aunt Debbie claims that my mom went and got her will rewritten at some point in time, okay? In like 2013. She claimed that it was around the time when my mom bought her truck. Here's what's funny about it, okay? Because when I was having this conversation with my Aunt Dana about this and we were talking, I asked her a bunch of questions and she like had the answers already for all the questions that I asked. And I'm like, okay, see, that tells me something right there. First of all, my Aunt Debbie used my mom's attorney that wrote her will in 1996. My Aunt Debbie used him for her first divorce, okay? Then when my aunt went through her second divorce, my uncle also got divorced and used her attorney. So you see a pattern here. These people share attorneys. They all go to the same doctor because they're all attached at the hip. Like, it's sick how codependent these people are. So my aunt now is claiming that my mom went to some like random attorney that no one knows who he is, got her will rewritten. And, then it was like, okay, well, why didn't she file it with the court? Oh, because it cost too much money. Really? It costs $40 to file a will with the court. My mom really, she really was going to skimp out on $40. But my aunt is claiming that my mom got her will rewritten and had them taken off and my brother put as the executor. Now, could that be possible? Yeah, anything could be possible. I had questions and there was answers for all my questions. My first question was, which lawyer did she use to have this will that named my brother as the executor written up? Oh, I don't know. Oh, really? She just went through the phone book and picked out some random lawyer? Or she didn't get a suggestion from you. She didn't tell you. Bullshit, dude. My Aunt Debbie and my mom talked every morning and they talked about this kind of shit. So you're going to tell me that all of a sudden one day out of the blue, my mom just was like, you know what? It's 2013. I'm going to go get my will rewritten. I'm going to go buy a new car and get my will rewritten. I would think if my mom were to get her will rewritten at any point in time, it would have been back in 2006 when my dad passed away. So that was my first question. My second question was, did she file it with the court? Oh no, it costs too much money to file it with the court. Really? It costs $40. You're telling me that she went and spent hundreds of dollars to have this will rewritten randomly in 2013, but she didn't sprint the extra $40 to file it with the court to make sure it was safe. Okay. Now, at this point in time, I had access to my mom's bank account. I looked at every goddamn statement. There was no check to any attorney. I went back as far back as I could go and I looked through all her statements. I looked through everything and there's nothing there that signifies that she paid an attorney. She could have paid with a credit card, but I don't know any attorneys that accept credit cards. Most attorneys only take cash or check. And I know my mom, she wrote out checks all the time. She was like the only person that I knew that still writes checks out, but she did. So I don't think my mom would have paid cash. Knowing her, I was like, why wouldn't my mom tell me? Oh, she didn't tell you because she didn't want to hurt your feelings that, she made your brother the executor. She already was telling me that my brother was the executor. My mom thought my brother was the executor of her will for the last God knows how long. Why all of a sudden would she be scared to tell me? Like, it doesn't even make any sense, okay? This is just a blatant lie. Do I think my mom ever went and got her will rewritten in 2013? No, it just doesn't make any sense. First of all, my mom always told me where she was going. Every day. She would call me up on the way home from work. Oh, Leanne, I'm going here, I'm going here. I knew where my mom was pretty much at all times. Of course, yeah, there were times where I tried calling her and she wasn't answering and I didn't know where she was. But for the most part, my mom always told me what she was doing and where she was going. I don't think my mom would have been scared to tell me that she made my brother the executor. I mean, it is a known fact that he's a little more organized than I am. I wouldn't have taken offense to it. At that point in time, in 2013, no, I wouldn't have taken offense to it. I mean, I would have understood. My brother is a little bit better with that kind of shit than I am. He is. I'm not gonna lie. Well, he's not that responsible with money, but whatever. When my dad passed away, that mother charged like $3,000 on my dad's credit card and just like never paid it off. But that's a whole nother story. Anyway, so my aunt is basically suggesting that that's the will I destroyed, which still doesn't make sense to me, but at least it makes a little bit more sense than me destroying the other will. If my mom did get a new will written, which I know she didn't, why would she keep the old one? Wouldn't you throw the old one out? It just doesn't make any sense. Maybe my mom destroyed the will so she didn't have to go pay for a new attorney. I don't know. There was no other will. There was no other will. My mom never got her will rewritten. My mom had a little note in the back where she used to keep her combination for her safe that, God forbid, if anything happened to her, and it said, will and safe. This is the note. I found it by accident one day, and it listed all her different things and, whatever. And then if you look at this life insurance policy, she redesignated the beneficiaries on it in 2006 when my dad passed away. Here's the other thing. If there was another will, my brother went in the safe before I did. Where was that will? Since my brother was the first one in the safe, he would have been the first one to see the will. How come nobody tried searching for this will? If that's the case, nobody tried searching for it. And my brother never once mentioned anything about its existence or questioned me about it or anything. And this is just more bullshit to support their bullshit story because they're a bunch of sneaky assholes. Other thing that happened, and this is so stupid, but I'll tell you guys because it's like just another example of how these people operate. My mom's neighbor, who lived directly next door to us, okay? So, like, we shared a fence. Her name is Jan. I was in touch with most of the neighbors, but I hadn't heard from Jan. Jan had called me at one point in time to check in on me. This was probably around, like, February. Because I hadn't talked to her in a couple of months. And, we're on the phone, we're talking. She kind of knew everything that was going on because, like everybody else in my mom's life, my mom told Jan, the whole situation about everything that was going on with my brother and Satan and how my mom didn't want Satan involved in her affairs and all that kind of shit, right? She ends up telling me that one day she was leaving to go somewhere and she saw that there was a red SUV parked in my mom's driveway. Funny, because around that same time, I had gone to the house to check up on it because that's what I used to do. I used to go and check up on the house every so often. I go in the house and I noticed that somebody took like some of those boxes that were still laying around from the day that my brother and I had that confrontation at my mom's house. This is how the boxes were left, like from that day for about a month up until February when I came back and I noticed that they were pushed aside and one of the boxes was opened and there was nothing in it. They left like a couple of things behind, but I was like, who came here and took all this shit? Did they take more shit? Like, I kind of put two and two together, and like, that's funny because the only person I know that drives a red SUV barf. No offense if you have a red SUV. I just like, I don't know. I hate red cars. Unless it's like a Corvette or like a sports car. Like, ooh, I don't like red cars. That's just my opinion. No offense to you. I don't really care for any color car, to be honest with you. I like white and black and maybe silver or gray. Gray's okay. But anyway, so my aunt just bought a red SUV. So I, wrote to her and I'm like, hey, asshole, somebody said they saw you. So if it wasn't you, my bad, my bad. Now, this was at a point in time where they thought they were still the executors. So I could see that they probably went over there and got my brother's shit for him. Fuck her. I'm the executor. I'll go over there and get it. I could see this happening. I could totally see this happening. So I wrote to my Aunt Debbie. I'm going to show you guys this, okay? Okay, so let's read these emails between me and my Aunt Debbie, okay? So it was February 11th, I wrote to her, Debbie, I'm just letting you know you were seen removing items from my mom's property the other day. In case you didn't know, you have not been officially appointed as executor by the surrogate court, which means you still do not have the authority to remove property from the home. And in fact, you also do not have authority to even be on the property. An executor needs to be appointed by the courts before they can start acting as executor. Just an FYI, Leanna. Okay, so part of the reason that I wrote this was also because I didn't know what was going on and why they hadn't filed their petitions at this point in time. So it was kind of a little hello. And of course, yeah, I wanted to stick it to her. You guys are telling me I can't do this and that. And then all of a sudden, you could go there and take property. No. So she writes back to me a little while later and she says, Leanna, FYI, I haven't been to the house since the last day of my sister's funeral. I don't know who your source is, but this is a big case of mistaken identity. I have no reason to be at the house, and I very well know my place in this situation. Your imagination is way out of control, and I resent the fact that you think I would do wrong by my sister's memory. Debbie. So I was like, all right. I wrote back to her a little bit later. I replied with, I didn't think you would do that. Someone saw a person with a red SUV parked in the driveway taking items from the house. It's not my imagination. If it wasn't you, my apologies. I don't know of anyone else who has a red SUV. I should probably contact the police then and let them handle it. So she writes back to me and she says, good idea. And then that was it as far as I was concerned, okay? But of course, nothing could be normal with these people. So she went to bed stewing that night, okay? Woke up in the morning all salty and then went to work, she was still salty and decided at 1:03 p.m. in the afternoon while she was at lunch, I guess, to write me again. So this is the next day now, okay? Leanna, I had time to digest your email and I am fuming over the fact that you didn't write and ask or have another family member to contact me to ask if I was at my sister's house, rather than you making accusations. That was one big run-on sentence. You're angry because I didn't confront you about this. But I did. That's why I emailed you. It doesn't even make any sense. You cannot do anything right in these people's eyes. You're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, okay? So anyway, here comes the next bullshit line. You called the cops on your own brother that had every right, like you, to be at the house. Is this what you heard? Who told you that? Because that's completely not the right story. And I knew that it was going to get twisted around. It's more like my brother's wife called the cops on me and then I called the cops too by accident. Anyway, sorry, she writes, why didn't this person call the cops if they saw someone leave with your mother's property? If I felt the need to want anything of my sister's, I would ask both of her heirs. ... Right now, it would break my heart to even drive by her house. I wouldn't even go there to get their company's property because my mom had the computer and everything from her job and they worked at the same company. And then in all caps, shaking my head. She's screaming this to the world. ... Everyone should know me by now. I'm a giver, not a taker. And I'm proud to say I never took anything in my entire life that belonged to someone else. That's stealing. No shit. And then she has a little P.S. P.S. It didn't go unnoticed that you referred to me as Debbie and not Aunt Debbie like you did for the last 30 some odd years. She doesn't even know how old I am. She has no idea how old I am. Debbie it will be, and Debbie will make sure her sister's wishes are carried out, whether or not I am the joint executor. Do you guys see the anger in this person, and like this was so unnecessary. And I know what this was. It was just like an attempt to get me to like go crazy. But you know what's real funny? After I had wrote to her, when I went back to read her reply, I noticed that she had CC'd all her siblings and my brother on this email. And see, that's the kind of bullshit that these people do. And I'm like that's so senseless. Like, none of these other people's business. Like, why are you putting all these other people on the email? Is this part of your like hate campaign to show everybody how fucking horrible I am? Like, why would you want to get people to gang up on somebody when they're grieving the loss of their mom? This is a sick person right here. Very sick person. I might have embellished a little bit. I don't think my neighbor said that she actually saw my aunt. I think she just said she saw the truck, but I wanted to see what she would say, so I embellished a little bit. And it's just like, it just goes to show like how petty these assholes are. Like, this is going to segue into the next thing.